Mr. Mayor,
School Board Member Richard.
I move we approve the school board meeting minutes dated December 22nd, 2021, or 2021, and January 12th, 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by School Board Member Preble. Any discussion on the minutes? No discussion on the minutes. Roll call vote. School Board Member Preble.
Yes.
School Board Member Richard.
Yes.
School Board Member LaFortune.
Yes.
School Board Member Gale.
Yes.
School Board Member Truman.
Yes.
School Board Member Johnston.
Yes.
Minutes pass 6-0. Brings us to item 4. Any adjustments to the agenda this evening? No adjustments. Moving on to item 5, there is no correspondence listed. That brings us to item 6, public comment. If there's any members of the public that would like to address the school board, please come forward and be heard. Seeing nobody seeking recognition, moving on from public session brings us to item 7, superintendent's report. Superintendent Ray.
Good evening. A couple of items for tonight on superintendent's report. Some good news. The Saco School Department was awarded a $20,700 grant to support supplemental education for immigrant youth. So one of the things that we're looking at is that we will use a lion's share of these funds to pay for ELL staff so that we can have a ELL summer school. I'm just going to take the mask off while I speak because that one's pretty tough to hear through. So we'll have we'll be able to offer an ELL summer school, and we are in the initial parts of seeing how we can plan between the two communities for that ELL summer school, one to keep costs down and expenses down, but to also offer a more robust program. Many times our students are very transient in nature and can sometimes bounce between the communities, so we're hoping to build a pretty strong core for them. And so that's really exciting. More information will come this spring. So good job to Chris and the team who are involved in that piece. Our students have started the winter NWEA testing. That is something that is going on in our schools. Certainly the number of kiddos who have to stay home from school on a given day has made that a little bit more of a challenge in the winter peaks in the season. But happy to report that while some of our COVID cases have been over the last several weeks really peaked off, we are starting to see those numbers come down early this week. And so we're going to knock on wood and hope that that is something that will continue. As part of one of the projects that we had with our ESSER funds, we had looked at installing electronic card swipes to our exterior doors in our schools, which is a pretty big project. We are hoping that that will be fully functional in the next couple of weeks for all of our buildings. As far from the hardware side of things, the next task is printing about 500 badges with pictures and ID everybody, and setting up the schedules for programs so that people can enter the buildings using a swipe card. Over the years, it's keys come and go, and we'll have a situation that will be more secure for our students in our schools. Tentatively, I would ask you to put on your calendars the date of February 16th. And that is a night that we're hoping to have the second public forum for school construction. As I had mentioned to you guys, we're still waiting on a report on the projection of students over time, which is a big piece to this. But we're hoping that on that night we can begin talking about about the possibilities for certain parcels of land in and around the city that might be zones that we can consider, and then what some of those configurations that the committee has talked about. So put the 16th at 6 o'clock on your calendar as a tentative date. Budget process. Jason and I have started reviewing the first draft of the budget with principals. We've got a few more to finish up. I am hopeful that by the end of next week, but certainly before next school committee meeting, you guys will all have a draft budget with revenue page on the front of that in your hands for review. We're moving along nicely. Your budget will be, Jason, I think we're at 500 and some odd pages, pretty detailed. 564, so you're going to have a lot of lines to look through. Every item will be there. Sarah, I know you're waiting for that. Very exciting. But we'll have that opportunity to look at that piece and really make some decisions based off what items truly cost in a more detailed fashion. So we're moving ahead with that. Another option that I would ask each board member to read up on in the Finance Committee packet. Really want to start having the conversation about exploring solar options within our schools, of how we purchase our electricity. And there are some programs out there to be part of community solar farms, which one locks in a rate, and yes, it is a 20-year commitment, but each time we have a bad storm in Saco, we understand what happens to our shore regions. And while we can talk about 20 years commitments and that something better may come down the line, I would like for us as a board to talk about taking action now instead of waiting for the next best thing. So I would want us to consider that piece. As we look at solar options, we'll bring in Revision Energy to give a presentation about that, because you're actually buying a solar credit. What it is on our end, one of the big unknowns for us would be looking at a situation where we know that we will have a new building coming online, and so we will need to have to make some predictions about what would be the best percentage of our current electrical load to purchase. You know, certainly I wouldn't recommend that we would buy 100% of our current load, because we don't know what that would look like. But in a situation where we might buy 75 or 80% of that, I think we can fully expect that a new expanded building is still going to have a lot of the same power usage that we currently have today. And then finally, Mr. Rodman will start on Monday morning at Saco Middle School, and Jeff will be on board as the interim principal. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for Superintendent Ray? School Board Member Gale.
Just a quick question on the meeting for February 16th. Do we have a location for that yet, or is that TBD?
That's TBD. I will probably head towards the Burns Gym again, as that seemed like a good location last time for us to meet, and it gives us plenty of space to spread out. But I need to check with April to make sure that it's available, but it should be. And I liked having that little TV on the wall. That seemed to be a nice added piece for people at home. So,
and just, Mr. Mayor, maybe we, at when it's appropriate, if it coincides with a city council meeting, an announcement that this is going to be happening as well. At the Burns location, I thought was terrific. It was a great setup, and I thought you and the consultants did a great job in explaining that. So looking forward to that.
Thank you. Any further questions for Superintendent Ray?
Mr. Mayor,
School
I
Board
just
Member-
want to clarify with the superintendent, we are having that February 16th meeting on Zoom as well for people who aren't able to make it in person?
yes, we'll use the same setup that we did last time, having Zoom, which allows us the ability for people to raise their hand if they have a question or a comment, and have a little bit more interaction that way. But I really hope that the community will take this as an opportunity to attend in person. Just a little bit more, I find it better for conversation. You can put those papers in your hand so that when you can really look at the map of what some of the possible locations could be, have some dialogue around grade configurations. And we've got some, as I said before, on the site selection side of things, Kevin and Roach and Don Pylon, who are really helping, make some of those connections with possible landowners working together. And then we can lay those possibilities out and start thinking about how we survey our community and find what we hope will be the best property for us to move this forward, while at the same time anticipating that any of those properties could and can be sold between now and our decision-making process, which makes this project, I think, in Saco, one of the tougher ones to have, because property can move so quickly. And at the same time, making sure that before we put any possible properties out there, that we've had conversations with landowners, and, you know, some people have said, no, we're just not interested. And that's very fair to us and them beforehand, as I wouldn't want someone talking about my property without some communication first.
I have one more question too, if that's okay. For those that aren't able to come and meet to the in-person meeting for whatever reason, are we going to be able to put like the materials, like the map and other things like that online ahead of time for their viewing?
Yeah, all of that stuff will be on our part of the school construction website.
Any further questions for Superintendent Ray? Seeing no further questions, moving on to item 8, Chair's Report. Chair LaFortune?
I don't have any report. However, just one quick thing. Tonight, we got our committees underway again, now that we have a full complement of school board members on all of them. And I know that there was a little bit of a challenge to have them occur on the same night. That's not going to be the norm. This was just ended up being a special collision that occurred, and that will not be the case going forward. They will be staggered, so it'll be on different evenings. So if you're concerned about which meeting you should attend, that shouldn't be a concern going forward.
Thank you. Brings us to item 9, staff reports. There are no staff reports in the packet. Brings us to board subcommittee meeting minutes. There were no minutes in the packet. Brings us to item 11. There is no old business for this evening. So we are at item 12, new business. And up first, we have a presentation from Saco STEAM. So please come forward and stand to the podium. Feel free to unmask if you'd like and present your comments to the school board.
Thank you. We had sent some slides ahead. Is it possible to get those onto the screen, or can I connect to my computer in some way?
Mike, I think you can connect your computer right there.
It's not obvious to me how.
Okay. Meg, I know you know how to do that. And it may be through a Chromecast or...
I need a... Yes.
And then
Magic should happen. I apologize. It's my first time trying to do this. It's not, there's no change on those screens.
I think you might have to
Or like tell it to find a new screen. Oh, I see. City,
I don't think it's AirPlay though. You might. I can try mine because I think Terry put something on my computer because I have this icon, which is different. And I think that's the one, except mine isn't. I don't think it shows up until I plug that in.
I apologize for the delay. If we can't, we just can't, and I'll just deal with that. Asked me for a password, which I didn't have. All right.
Mike, is there a remote there that maybe you can change the input on the screen? I'm not sure.
Let's go through the other ones on that new business list, and maybe I can figure it out by the time.
You want to move us towards the bottom of the list? Can we have a pause for 1 second while we solve technical difficulties, and we'll try to come back? Is that okay?
That's fair.
Thank you.
So we will come back to the presentation by Saco Steam. That brings us to item B, new hires. There's nothing being asked other than to update the board with the new hires in the packet. Is that correct, Superintendent Ray?
That is correct.
Any questions on new hires from the board? Seeing no questions, moving on to item C, which is a memorandum in the packet of staff resignations. Again, no action required by the board. Any questions on staff resignations?
One question.
School Board Member Truman?
Jen Samard, I'm guessing she just moved to a different position from the resignation to the, yeah,
That is correct.
okay.
Okay, that brings us to item D, a COVID update. There's a memorandum in the packet regarding COVID updates. Superintendent Ray?
So just like every 2 weeks, I just try to give an update of where we are. The last several weeks were quite challenging for us as a school department. As we know, we had to take a pause at our middle school for a week because of staff cases. Burn School has been hanging in there with staff by a thread, but what has been nice, at least seems to be that we're trending in a better direction based off the number of text messages I get from nurses has gone down quite a bit in the last, say, 72 hours, which is always a positive sign in the morning time when I wake up. If I don't have a ton of text messages from the principals or nurse, we know that things are getting better. So again, just want to continue to follow all of the safety protocols that are out there for staff and for students and family members, and to please remind everybody that if you're not feeling well, to please stay home, contact the school nurse. We have plenty of tests available to assist families when needed. Pool testing is still going on, and we'll continue to keep everybody updated if there are any changes to the SOP or anything else. But let's keep our fingers crossed that we're heading in the right direction now.
Thank you, Superintendent Ray. Any questions for Superintendent Ray?
No, I just want to thank the nurses for keeping everybody where they need to be and doing the best they can, so, and for your phone working properly and taking all those text messages.
Mr. Bear, I have a quick question. Superintendent Ray, could you elaborate for me if there are families in need of testing materials? Could you explain that a little further and clarify for me what that would mean and look like for families out in the community?
Yeah, so, our nurses are fantastic with working with our families, and certainly we understand that there's pool testing available, which so many families take advantage of, and we work on the follow-up piece of it. But, we've also had situations where kiddos aren't feeling good, and our nurses are quickly to work with the family to figure out how a test, whether that's off-cycle, can occur, and we just want to continue to do that. One of the struggles that kind of happened the last couple of weeks, and we're feeling like we're getting into a better place, is that pool testing would require so many Buy Next Now tests to be used that we were having a little bit of a trouble like staying ahead of the shipments and the ordering pieces, but that seems to be a little bit better of a correction. We worked with our York County liaison for the DOE and with the DOE and some of our partners throughout the region to make sure that there was enough tests available. And so, you know, we're hopeful, but again, we're there to support if need be.
Thank you.
Any further questions for the superintendent? I would just like to say thank you to all the staff. What was interesting is staff who were vaccinated or participating in pool testing out of 460, approximately 90% are involved in that. So thank you very much for that. That's a very high number, so thank you. Any further questions? That brings us to item E, budget update, and ED 279.
This will be fairly quick, Mike. Okay. And then having you here, Mike, you get to hear it a second time, which is always good. So I'm not going to go into full detail of the 279 tonight because that's a discussion that I get a little bit excited about and can spend some time on that, and that needs to be part. Now, you laugh out there that I get excited about it, but it's one of the pieces of the job that I like is to look at the formula that we have. But what I wanted to introduce people to tonight is a copy of our state funding formula that I have put boxes, highlights, and comments around the important sections for you to pay attention to as we work through that. We will be spending a lot of time over the next several weeks talking about the budget. But what I want to get out to the community tonight and to you guys is I really want people to draw their attention to page 4 of this. And the fact that Saco, in this budget, what's interesting about where we've come in the last 8 to 10 months budgetarily wise, is we built the budget based off one set of guidance from the DOE last year. And we put something forward to the city council that we could live with. And then there was a change in the governor's budget, and it became a situation where we received additional subsidy. And the school committee and city council made some good decisions not to use that as revenue in the immediate years, and we were able to take that situation, and through the additional subsidy this year, we'll be able to pay down the $1 million deficit that we had with the city and just like wipe that away and start fresh, which means that we will get to use that additional subsidy this year. Now, I was hoping that that number would be the same of I think it was 1.577 million or something like that, that we would get to use that again. But valuation of property in Saco continues to rise at a rate greater than the rest of the state. Saco is one of 24 communities in the state that grew at 7% property valuation or higher. So with the state average being 5% and 142 communities being at 5% or less, the additional $30 million in state funding that was put into general purpose aid swung $35 million to those communities who are under the 5% population growth. If you look on the state website, each January, the Secretary of State has to they have to update property valuation for the upcoming year. EPS formula uses a 3-year average. And so as we think about our expenditures in our budget in this year, we must keep an eye on the future of what our next budget's 3-year average is. So one of the things that we always want to be really careful about here is when you have ESSER funds or you have that high revenue in a year, that you don't throw it all into your budget and then next year it goes away and you say, what happened? So while last spring, this was a great day and everyone, we got like $1.6 million almost in subsidy, we turn to this year and we look at the continued valuation growth in Saco, and it results in a $514,000 decrease from subsidy that we got in July as we move into the next year. And most of that is attributed to the increase in property valuation. And so while we could be sitting here saying, okay, we just lost $500,000 in subsidy, which that's a big amount. That's 1/3 of what we got last spring in additional, because of the decisions that we made to pay down debt and not use that money for additional staff or additional budgeting purposes. We essentially have around $1 million of additional subsidy to put into that budget. At the same time, we ended the last fiscal year with, Jason, $290,000 in carryover funds. So we will start the budget with a fund balance piece. So when we start with a fund balance, we have no deficit, and we have subsidy to play with, we can look at this budget and say, okay, things might be okay, we can get through this. But we need to pay attention to a $180 million increase in valuation. And as we were talking about in Finance Committee, that the state of Maine had I think it was $205 or $203 billion increase in property valuation as a state, with close to half of that coming from York and Cumberland County. And so if we don't pay attention to the rising values, and anybody who's here who has seen their neighbor's home sold, they've tried to sell their home or tried to purchase a home, the rising costs of home prices are going to affect this region. And so as we enter the budget season, we really have to think about valuation and what that could do to us in future years. And we'll try to do our best to look at what, we don't have a crystal ball, but we'll try to do our best to look into a crystal ball and figure out what we could expect in future years. The other piece that is of importance for us is on page 2, where the DOE did some favors because a couple of major things have happened during the COVID piece. One, school departments lost students. And number 2, we're in a situation that, again, I believe is a really positive for our pre-K through 8 students, is they have an opportunity to have a subsidized lunch at school every single day. That is crucial. 30% of our kiddos are on free and reduced lunch, and it levels the playing field for all. Nobody goes through line worrying about what code you have to type in, and our kids are all in the same place. But when we look at the 30%, they use the highest 3-year average, because filling out the forms that went with that became a disincentive. At the same time, they changed the weights on students who are economically disadvantaged from 0.15 to 0.2. This is a 1-year change that we should continue to lobby for, because children who are live in an economically disadvantaged situation deserve to have more funding put behind them. And so as we look at this piece on the formula, as that goes back to possibly the original way in another year, student enrollments continue to decrease slightly, and valuation prices increase. And we know that everything else is going up, whether it's in our household or school. Pack of crayons is going to cost more. We really need to be thoughtful about this budget and what the impacts could be in future years as we move forward. And so I've had a text with Bill, spoken with Alan, spoken with Ryan Fecto, Speaker of the House, and to think about how, as a region in southern Maine, we begin to have the conversation that says almost half of the valuation increase is happening here. What are we going to do about that? So I ask that you look at these 279s. I've tried to put some notes on it. And then when we come back during the budget process, we'll get the line by line, go through. I can answer any questions, whether that now or at a later date, but we can really start diving into where we are as a community on these pieces.
Thank you, Superintendent Ray. Any questions on the ED 279 numbers? Feel free to look that information over. If you have any questions, please go ahead and contact Superintendent Ray. Saco Steam, are you ready? Perfect.
We are ready, Mr. Mayor, Superintendent, School Board. I apologize for the technical difficulties. I've sat on that side wondering what's going on this side, and now I know the answer. So thank you for your patience. Almost every year, Saco Steam, if you could actually stay on that first slide for 1 second. Thank you. Yeah, and thank you for technically advising. So about every year, Saco Steam tries to come to the school board and tells you about our accomplishments for the year, the grants we've given away, and how we've supported the schools. With some changes in Saco Steam and some changes in the school board, we thought it might be time to just introduce ourselves. We've also been pretty greatly impacted by the COVID and the pandemic, including tonight, where our new president, Christina Michaud, had some unexpected difficulties, and so I'm pinch presenting. She'll be here later, hopefully tonight, or at a future time to introduce herself to you guys. For those of you that don't know, Saco Steam is a 501c3 charitable organization designed and dedicated to improving science, technology, engineering, arts, and math education in Saco. We are an educational foundation here to support you, the teachers, and our students. Now, if we could move on, please. Thank you. We were originally founded about 4 years ago now with a three-part mission. We wanted to advocate for the schools and resources to the public. We get out and say, vote yes on the school budget. We say, support our schools. We tried to generally serve as a booster for the things that you and our teachers do. In addition, we want to connect community resources with the schools. When teachers have needs or when volunteers have desires to get into the school, we try to put those things together. And third, is probably what we're most visible for, is we go out and do direct fundraising in the community, raising money, and then previously once a year, and now on a continuous rolling basis, we have a call for grants where teachers can propose projects, and if they reach the top of a rubric, we send a check to the school and fund that project, designed for innovative, small-scale, pilot, curriculum-enhancing projects designed directly by teachers. We've raised almost $30,000 now and funded 15 projects over the last couple of years. Thank you. We've also, as you can see, have raised that money from a variety of generous supporters in our community. We're not alone, neither are you. The community has really banded together to support us in our ability to support you and and the teachers. If you can move on. Our first grant was in 2018 to fund the Lego robotics program. That has really blossomed. We're proud of that. Ms. Trottier has done a great job and has now passed that on. And if we can go forward, you can see a list of all the projects that we funded. We had 4 additional ones that were slated for funding but couldn't continue because of the pandemic. So we're at 15. It should have been 19. You can see the projects represent all of our schools, a wide variety of different types of projects, environmental, science, engineering, including some arts. Again, if we can move forward on to the next one. We have managed to fund 3 grants also this year, despite the pandemic. Ms. Pelletier in the 4th grade, TK Burns, for a Spheros project, which is building kind of a theme now. We funded a number of robotics and coding projects from early elementary up through the middle school. So now there's an emerging multidisciplinary curriculum that bridges the different schools. We're pretty excited about that. There's a Some Days project that, again, is a multi-school curriculum occurring at Young, Fairfield, and CK Burns. I know they have larger aspirations for bigger grants, but we've provided some pilot funding to get them started. And the Lego Robotics continues to expand now into the middle school. Again, we really like that. We like when we can connect different levels of schools, help provide some bridge across curricula, and then the students can experience something at an introductory level and then master it later in their curriculum. So we really appreciate projects like that and are happy to have been part of that. One more slide, I think. Yeah, but this is a challenging year for us. We were originally founded by 4 members of the community and pretty soon dwindled down to 3 parents who are heavily engaged in our school. The pandemic has put a real challenge. We've 2 of our founding board members have now moved on, and we've brought in new board members. Emily Walters is there, and Christina Michaud had an emergency pop up and couldn't be here. So it's been a real rebuilding year for us as we bring in new leadership and transition and develop new procedures and policies and get everyone up to speed. COVID challenges have really hurt our local businesses, have hurt our workforce, have challenged our economy, making fundraising a challenge. It's also hurt our ability to get in and meet with people face to face and build those connections that's required to fundraise. And so this year is really a rebuilding year for us. We need to reestablish our procedures, we need to reestablish our bank balance, and we need to figure out how best we can support the schools during the pandemic and however things move forward. And so we're kind of coming here both with an offer to help, as we always do, but also with kind of a request for help. We need more volunteers from the community. We've learned the dangers of having just 3 or 4 heavily involved members when transitions occur. That puts a big hamper on our organization. So anybody who's watching or who contacts you and looking for ways to help the schools, we are a way to help the schools, and we are looking for help. Similarly, anyone watching who's looking for ways to make an impact, a financial impact on the community, we're a 501c3. It's a fully tax-deductible donation, and we are happy to work with you to maximize the impact and timing. And we also want to hear from you about how we can best support the schools and what the needs are and how we can move forward together in a partnership to make the biggest impact on our teachers, our students, and our education. And with that, I think the next slide is our contact information. Yeah, board@sacosteam.org is a great way to contact us. We now have an ongoing rolling grant application process, so any teachers watching who have an idea for an innovative curricular project should fill out the application there. We will review it quickly and get word back to you. And anybody listening who wants to help, your help is needed and appreciated. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mike?
Mr. Mayor?
School Board Member Truman?
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say that I didn't realize that the some days were coming from you guys, and I just want to say that it's been a big hit. I know at least with my kids and their classrooms, and it's always a buzz whenever someone's day got picked, and mine haven't been picked yet. I'm just saying, not. Yeah. But they're like, oh my gosh. So I really love that. That idea was great, and I'm glad that to know that came from Saco STEAM. So thank you.
Yeah, so we provided, I think, just a few $1,000s of funding to support some of them. They have much bigger aspirations, but some of them we've helped make possible. Yeah.
Any further comments, questions? School Board Member LaFortune?
I know that, given time, you've probably got other slides to go through, and I just would encourage the school board and anyone else who wants to see some of the additional information that's in your presentation. It is linked to the agenda, and please spend some time taking a look at it because there's a lot of really, really good stuff in there.
Yeah,
And
awesome.
thank you for coming again.
Yeah, of course.
There's no more questions?
Yeah, our President Christina. All right, thank you all. I really appreciate your time and listening, and thank you for supporting our schools, and let us know how we can help.
Thank you. That brings us to item F, which is summer programming. Superintendent Ray? Assistant Superintendent Parkhurst, my apologies.
No, thank you very much. Just wanted to provide a brief update on some of our preliminary planning. As Superintendent Ray mentioned earlier, we do have a Title III grant under immigrant youth and children that will allow us to begin to think about an ELL, English learner specific summer programming that we hope will involve a lot of opportunities for increased interaction within the community and opportunities for additional language acquisition for those students throughout the course of the summer. We're looking for about the same time frame, 4 to 5 weeks for all of our summer school programs, looking at 4 days a week, half days, and hoping to be able, in addition to the English Learner Program, we have our extended school year for students who have individualized education plans through their special ed programming that have identified goals to reach that include summer programming, and then offering a program for our regular education students who might benefit from some additional literacy and math skills, while of course supporting their ability to connect with peers, deepen those relationships, and do a little bit of learning outside and inside in a little bit of a different way throughout the course of this summer. So just wanted to keep everyone posted that those opportunities are in the beginning stages, and you can look forward to hearing more from us as we finalize those.
Thank you. Any questions for Assistant Superintendent Parkhurst? School Board Member Gale?
No question, but just a quick kudos and congratulations to you and the team for the English Learners Grant. I think that's incredible and great job focusing on helping those kiddos. Just noticed over the 5 months or so, a couple of just incredible grants that help strengthen our community. So thank you guys for aggressively going after that.
Any other comments, questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That is it for new business. It brings us to item 13, other information. There's nothing in the packet. Anything further? Not seeing anything. Moving to item 14, executive session. Is there a motion to enter executive session?
Mr. Mayor.
School Board Member LaFortune.
I move we enter executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 405-6D, labor contract negotiations with possible action.
Second.
Motion's been made by School Board Member LaFortune, seconded by School Board Member Truman. Any discussion? Roll call vote to enter executive session. School Board Member Archie?
Yes.
School Board Member Preble?
Yes.
School Board Member Richard?
Yes.
School Board Member LaFortune?
Yes.
School Board Member Gale?
Yes.
School Board Member Truman?
Yes.
And School Board Member Johnston.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 to enter executive session at 5:44. Executive session will be downstairs in the conference room. Okay, welcome back. Is there a motion to exit executive session?
So moved.
Is that
Second.
School Board Member Truman? Thank you. And second was School Board Member Richard. Any discussion on exiting executive session? Roll call vote. School Board Member Archie?
Yes.
School Board Member Preble?
Yes.
School Board Member Richard?
Yes.
School Board Member LaFortune?
Yes.
School Board Member Gale?
Yes.
School Board Member Truman?
Yes.
School Board Member Johnston?
Yes.
We're out of executive session 7-0 at 7:51. Is there a report from executive session?
No report.
No report. Item 15, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
School Board Member Truman, second by School Board Member Johnston. Any discussion on adjourning? Roll call to adjourn. School Board Member Archie?
Yes.
School Board Member Preble?
Yes.
School Board Member Richard?
Yes.
School Board Member LaFortune?
Yes.
School Board Member Gale?
Yes.
School Board Member Truman?
Yes.
And School Board Member Johnston.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 at 7:52. Have a great evening, everyone.